When a monarch falls ill, the world doesn't just worry about the temporary absence of a head of state. It marks a moment that could alter the course of an entire dynasty. Behind the frailty of one man lies a throne with an uncertain future, a nation waiting for stability, and a monarchy that may soon have to redefine its fate. For weeks, the king's health has been the subject of quiet speculation across political corridors, media outlets, and among the public. Rare appearances, carefully staged photos, and prolonged silence from Buckingham Palace have only fueled the growing unease. But no one expected the truth to be this serious until Prince William, the heir to the throne, suddenly stepped forward with a statement that left Britain stunned. This was no routine reassurance, no polished press release meant to calm nerves. William's words struck like a warning bell, signaling that the crisis was no longer looming on the horizon. It had arrived at the palace gates. And in that instant, every eye once fixed on the king turned sharply toward the prince. What exactly did William say? What is really happening behind the locked doors of the royal family? And is the British monarchy now standing on the edge of a historic turning point? Join us as we trace the clues and uncover the truth hidden in the shadows of Buckingham Palace. The British line of succession defines who inherits the throne and becomes the king or queen of Great Britain. Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away on September 8th, 2022, reigned over the UK for 70 years, a near record-breaking figure. Her husband, Prince Philip, who passed away in 2021 at 99, was always by her side. But he was not in line to succeed her. Instead, after the Queen, her firstborn, Charles, ascended the throne and became the British sovereign. Following this structure, the next in line is his firstborn, William, Prince of Wales, and then William's firstborn, Prince George. It was natural that during this chaos, the world's attention shifted to Prince William. A year ago, when the news of his father's ill health was announced, he stepped in and filled the gap, even though his wife had just undergone surgery. This time, just hours after the king's ill health was announced, Prince William stepped in to fill the gap again. What did he say when this happened? What about Prince William left the world talking? To understand this, let's take a walk back to when it started. In early 2024, Buckingham Palace released unexpected news that the world did not anticipate. It was announced that doctors detected cancer in King Charles during his medical examination. At the time, the palace did not reveal what type of cancer it was, as the doctors were only treating him for an enlarged prostate. But this medical situation was serious enough to transform every aspect of the king's life. As the world awaited more information on the king's health, the monarch remained discreet about sharing details. The world only knew that the king was undergoing a series of medical treatments until he could resume his duties. While this announcement masked an emerging uncertainty, it gave people hope that everything would be fine. When it happened, King Charles had informed his sons about the situation. Meanwhile, Prince William's wife had just undergone abdominal surgery. On the other hand, Prince Harry had a conversation with his father and planned to expedite his return to the United Kingdom after moving to California. Finally, the king returned to London for outpatient treatment from Sandringham. The plan was that he would continue his duties as the governor of the state, which included his constitutional role as the head of state, involving paperwork and private meetings. Still, he wouldn't be seen at public events unless the doctors said otherwise. However, in a situation where things did not go as planned, the monarch already had additional arrangements in place. When the monarch cannot perform his royal duties properly, the UK government relies on counselors of state, such as senior royal family members, to assume responsibility. Queen Camilla, Prince William, Princess Anne, and Prince Edward comprise the current counselors of state. Both Prince Harry and Prince Andrew have been removed from the succession because they have ceased their working royal positions. Interestingly, Prince William's public engagements were temporarily halted because he wanted to be by his wife's side. However, when Buckingham Palace announced King Charles's illness, it stated that William would rejoin his royal duties. This may be a sign that royal duties were changing subtly. But here's something strange. Days before the statement was made, King Charles attended a church service in Sandringham, where he looked cheerful and even greeted people by waving and saying hello to them. There was no sign that he was sick or a hint that something had happened. A few days before his admission, he had gone to a hospital in London for what they called a benign prostate condition. But then came the unexpected. The palace described it as a separate condition, but the doctors called it cancer. When King Charles found out, he made his health issue public. The purpose of this decision went beyond transparency. When King Charles was still the Prince of Wales, he was an ardent supporter of cancer charities, openly discussing people's cancer struggles while highlighting the dedication of health workers and the struggles family members go through. After the king made his situation public, NHS websites experienced increased traffic from men who needed help, wanted screenings, and sought additional information. Behind the scenes was a king proud of the awareness he had created in people's minds. But was he truly happy? King Charles wasn't the only proud person at this table. Doctors and health experts wasted no time confirming his stance. Dr. RSM President J.A. Verma praised the king's public service by reminding his society that cancer affects everyone and encouraged those eligible for testing to schedule appointments. Studies have predicted that 1 in 2 people will experience cancer during their lives. Over 200 types of cancer exist, with breast, lung, prostate, and bowel cancers being the most prevalent varieties. Age plays a factor in getting diagnosed with cancer, as research demonstrates that people above 75 years old account for 40% of UK cancer diagnoses. King Charles had just turned 75 at the time. Following the announcement, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle, and Labour leader Keir Starmer all sent their best wishes to King Charles for a complete recovery. U.S. President Joe Biden also announced his intention to hold a personal conversation with the king after international news broke about his health condition. The president had lost his son Beau to brain cancer and witnessed his friend, Senator John McCain, pass away due to the same illness. So he understood how grave it was. It had only been 2 years and some months since King Charles ascended the throne following Queen Elizabeth's demise in 2022. Now, his royal ascension posed multiple uncertainties. These range from canceling travel plans due to the king's ill health, like the foreign tour in Canada scheduled for May, followed by the Australia, New Zealand, and Samoa tour planned for October for the 2024 Commonwealth Summit. Just days after the king was admitted, he was publicly seen again. The media captured him waving and smiling as he arrived at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham during its annual Christmas royal gathering. The king had spent 3 nights at a private London hospital undergoing surgical treatment. Earlier in the week, the Queen had opened a cancer support unit at the Royal Free Hospital in London. As they wished her well and asked about his well-being, she assured them he was doing well. The latest hospitalization. It's been over a year since King Charles was admitted, and the world has closely followed the king's cancer treatment. Although the palace never revealed many details, he made some information public when he shared with the other patients that he had lost his sense of taste. You would expect King Charles to take a break from royal duties with such a diagnosis. Well, just recently, the public noticed that the king has remarkable physical strength. This happened during a reception at Buckingham Palace, where guests, including fitness expert Joe Wicks, noticed that the king appeared strong despite battling a long, demanding medical process. The king clarified that his active lifestyle has always been important. He hinted at his twice-daily exercise routine when he spoke with Olympic sprinter Desiree Henry in late 2024. Despite being elderly, many were quite surprised when he revealed his practice of doing squats with the use of a pull-up bar. His stepson, Tom Parker Bowles, also mentioned that he loves walking, and Camilla agreed. She noted that he moves like a mountain goat because he leaves everyone behind as soon as he starts walking. But, as they say, every journey has an end, especially regarding age. Time naturally reduces the pace, even for the strongest individuals. And King Charles has accepted this reality. Recall that King Charles has an intense love for equestrian sports. Back in 2018, he told the public he could no longer ride horses due to multiple injuries. Just recently, his skiing days are also over. Yet, he hasn't stopped altogether. Instead of engaging in extra activities that might require his full strength, he focuses on exercises that support his mobility and independence. Fitness professionals state that strength activities like pull-ups contribute to maintaining a firm grip, healthy joints, and active muscles that help complete daily tasks such as opening jars or gripping railings. With all of this strength, no one expected the sudden hospital emergency announcement that followed Charles's apparent recovery. In short, the situation with him had returned to normal for a while. The king returned to his official job after being away from duty for many months. He participated in public functions and communicated introductory notes about his condition to his audience. The public sensed that Britain was finally emerging from its challenges, and the king was right as he waved to the crowd each time he was in public. However, people were caught off guard when a new press statement had said King Charles had returned to the hospital. In their words, the monarch had been admitted following scheduled and ongoing medical treatment for cancer. This time, the statement sounded different from earlier updates. Doctors recommended monitoring the king's condition because some minor unwanted outcomes had developed. But it was nothing serious. They just needed him to stay under close monitoring. King Charles was discharged that same day, and the palace quickly added this to the statement. Yet, everyone noticed that his royal duties were postponed, and his activities were limited to just around the house. Why wouldn't he assume his royal duties almost immediately if he did well as they presented? Is there something they were trying to hide? Following his change of schedule as instructed by the doctor, the royal inner circle made every effort to be positive throughout the situation. A reliable source defined the experience as the most minor bump in the road that's very much heading in the right direction. Another source also stated that the king was more worried about canceling his planned Birmingham visit than anything else. However, the concern about the monarchy's future was hard to miss. To observers outside the royal circle, this incident was more than tiny. It felt like a subtle warning, and it seemed obvious that the strongest individuals often conceal their suffering. To them, it raised the question, what if King Charles was doing the same? Well, their questions were not so far from being answered, especially after Prince William's statement. Prince William's statement. When the palace issued an official notification about King Charles's emergency admission to medical care, they also stated that his ongoing cancer treatment caused some side effects. During that period, Prince William continued his duties with the same determination and sense of duty he had learned from his father. While the world was curious about what he would say, he decided to demonstrate his backing through actual deeds. During his visit to Aberdeen, he made substantial achievements for Homewards UK, which he founded in 2023. He posted a lengthy Instagram caption about Aberdeen's work to help homeless individuals. His words read, "An inspiring day in Aberdeen yesterday, seeing all the work being done by Homewards and their partners in the area to support those in the city who have lived in a state of homelessness." William's connection with Homewards UK runs deep, as he continued the visit during his father's hospitalization. To observers, it felt like they were watching the prince prepare himself for the future ahead of him, even if it was a long time coming. In short, all indications from royal analysts lead to the same conclusion. As multiple palace insiders report that Prince William is progressively assuming additional duties to help his father. These were limited to the public and involved the palace. However, as much as all of these are taking place within the king's absence, most royal experts have also confirmed that King Charles has no plans of stepping down from the throne, regardless of his health situation. According to royal expert Hilary Ford, William's additional duties help reduce his father's workload instead of forcing him to retire. Despite his health issues, the royal family remains firmly against any possibility of abdication. Why have they taken this stance? Bedwich revealed that the British royal family avoided following the same path as their predecessors who resigned from power because it generated enormous turmoil throughout the UK. The year was 1936 when a single decision made a mark in history. King Edward VIII decided to surrender his British throne to Mary Wallace Simpson, resulting in a severe constitutional crisis. After that, George VI took over, and Princess Elizabeth became heir. Since then, the 1936 abdication has become an unimaginable final option. Before the late Queen passed away, she instilled core service values in King Charles, and he maintained this commitment to public duties regardless of the challenges he encountered during his reign. For it also revealed that Prince William and Princess Catherine have to undergo rigorous preparation for their royal positions through a training program that will prepare them to assume the roles of future monarchs. But she was also quick to address that they were not pushing for this position anytime soon, as their primary role focuses on supporting King Charles while preserving the stability of the monarchy, its power, and strength. Royal expert Ingrid Meis-Seward, editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, also reinforced this belief. According to her Newsweek interview, she believes King Charles should allow William to assume more essential roles because cancer treatment requires close attention. Yet, she also admitted the king is a workaholic with no signs of stopping. The royal expert stated that King Charles has always functioned best when actively working on something. She told the outlet, "The trouble is he's been so conditioned to work that I don't think he functions unless he's working. He's probably all over the place when he's not working." However, no matter how strong the king appears, Seward establishes that he is still a cancer patient. And that truth adds a new layer to everything Prince William is doing. The royal legacy. Prince William has been a favorite of the British public for as long as anyone can remember. From birth, he lived in the spotlight and became known as a charming, eligible bachelor. As he got older, many people saw him as a heartthrob. He got a lot of attention, similar to his father, Prince Charles, back in the day. But William's charm was different. It was more refined. The New York Times even compared his appeal to Leonardo DiCaprio's, noting that while DiCaprio had a bad boy image, William was much more polite and reserved. Then came his marriage to Kate Middleton. With it, there was a shift in how the public saw him. No longer just the bachelor prince. William embraced a more settled, fatherly role. He seemed to take on a more staid image, fitting perfectly into the family life he had built with Kate. People started to see him as a reliable, down-to-earth figure, someone you could count on. As William matured, his royal responsibilities began to evolve significantly. He stepped away from the more ceremonial traditional roles, often involving routine tasks like presenting awards or attending community events. Instead, he dedicated himself to initiatives with the potential for broader social impact and long-term significance. In a revealing statement made in 2016, William expressed that his primary challenge was to find ways to ensure the royal family remains relevant and connected to the public for the next 2 decades. This insight reflects a keen awareness of the changing social landscape and the necessity for the monarchy to adapt to maintain its role in modern society. Since then, he has been actively pursuing various projects aimed at addressing pressing issues such as mental health, environmental conservation, and youth empowerment, all while aiming to foster a sense of connection and purpose between the monarchy and the citizens it serves. His popularity hasn't just stayed in the UK. In 2011, Time magazine named him one of the most influential people in the world, a recognition he shared with his wife, Catherine. More recently, William has topped surveys as the most popular royal family member, even beating out other famous figures in the US. He's regularly praised for his approachability and commitment to the monarchy. In 2024, he even made the Daily Telegraph's list of best-dressed celebrities, showing that his style is just as admired as his work. The British monarchy has long stood as a powerful emblem of tradition and stability, embodying centuries of history and cultural heritage. However, as society evolves, the monarchy has also had to navigate the challenges of modernity. This adaptation process is particularly evident in recent years, as King Charles III and his eldest son, Prince William, have taken significant steps to ensure that the royal family remains relevant and relatable today. King Charles, crowned in a time marked by rapid social change and technological advancement, recognizes the need for the institution to connect with younger generations. He has demonstrated a keen understanding of contemporary issues, particularly those surrounding the environment and mental health. Through initiatives such as the Prince's Trust and various charitable endeavors, he has sought to engage with communities directly, fostering a sense of empathy and duty that resonates with the public. Prince William has also embraced this role of modernization. He, alongside his wife Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has made mental health advocacy a cornerstone of their public service. Initiatives like Heads Together have aimed to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health issues, reaching out to young people and encouraging open conversation. Addressing these pressing societal topics has shown that the monarchy can still play a vital role in facilitating important discussions. King Charles and Prince William illustrate a balancing act. They honor the long-standing traditions and values of the monarchy while pushing for progress and inclusion. This dual approach seeks to preserve the essence of the royal family's legacy while adapting to the realities and expectations of modern society. This willingness to evolve may ultimately ensure the monarchy's continued relevance, allowing it to inspire future generations while remaining rooted in its historical significance. King Charles, who stepped up to the throne after Queen Elizabeth II passed, hasn't just taken on the monarch's role, he has been building on a legacy of service that goes far beyond royal duties. For decades, Charles has been a champion of charitable work, starting with the Prince's Trust in 1976. It is an organization that helps young people struggling with education and jobs, allowing them to turn their lives around. His work didn't stop there. He has been behind several foundations that support everything from the arts to sustainability. His environmental efforts, especially his work promoting organic farming and climate change awareness, were ahead of their time and have inspired many others to follow suit. King Charles has long advocated for understanding indigenous voices, saying they hold crucial messages about preserving the land, respecting the community, shared values, resolving conflict, and making amends for historical injustice. Through all his achievements, the years 2025 brought a personal challenge. King Charles was diagnosed with cancer. It was a moment that shook the nation. But what stood out even more was his determination to continue fulfilling his royal duties while undergoing treatment. Even with everything he was dealing with, he didn't step back because his commitment to his role and the people remained unwavering. Queen Camilla has been by his side every step of the way, showing just how much family support can mean during tough times. Then there's Prince William, who stepped into his role as Prince of Wales after his father became king. While William now carries the weight of being the heir to the throne, he's not taking a traditional route. Like his father, he has focused on essential causes, particularly environmental issues and mental health. His work in mental health advocacy has been groundbreaking. He has worked hard to make the conversation around mental health more open and less stigmatized, which is a huge step forward in ensuring people feel supported when they need it most. Prince William's approach to royal duties is also deeply grounded in family. He and Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, have always been a team, balancing public life with raising their family. They have been intentional about keeping their kids grounded and ensuring they understand the values of kindness and duty that come with being part of the royal family. Their relationship has also helped humanize the royal family, showing that even though they bear the monarchy on their shoulders, they are like any other family regarding love, support, and shared experiences. What William's actions suggest about the throne: cancer treatment doesn't just drain the body, it reaches deep into a person's strength, both physical and emotional. It brings a weariness that doesn't go away after a nap or a few days of rest. For King Charles, that exhaustion comes at a time when the duties of being a monarch leave very little room to breathe. Even the most mundane royal responsibilities, like greeting incoming and outgoing ambassadors, require long hours of standing, talking, smiling, and repeating the same routines repeatedly. For someone still undergoing treatment, that schedule can be overwhelming. In late March, Charles had to cancel some of his planned engagements. The palace said his doctors advised it. Noting he was experiencing temporary side effects from his ongoing treatment, they didn't go into specifics, but the message was clear that his body needed a pause. Yet, despite the strain, the king returned to his work not long after. Many people seem to have forgotten that Charles is still fighting cancer, a diagnosis that came over a year ago. His return to public life last spring gave the impression that things had returned to normal. He showed up at the D-Day commemoration in France, graced the state opening of Parliament with his presence, and even took a demanding 9-day trip to Australia and Samoa. even though it was canceled at the time of his illness. Behind the scenes, he kept up with his constitutional responsibilities, reviewing government documents and meeting regularly with the Prime Minister. Even after his brief hospitalization in March, he got back to business. Just days later, he was in Rome with Queen Camilla for a 3-day state visit. It was a packed schedule, meeting Italy's president and prime minister, becoming the first British monarch to address the Italian parliament, and stopping in Ravenna to mark the 80th anniversary of the city's liberation during World War II. On April 9th, the same day Charles and Camilla celebrated 20 years of marriage, they met privately with the Pope at the Vatican. That meeting wasn't even confirmed until the morning it happened, another sign that the royal calendar is full and unpredictable. Yet, despite everything, Charles is expected to continue working in the days ahead. There's no sign that he's considering stepping back. If anything, he is determined to carry on with as much as he can handle, which is unsurprising, seeing that he waited a lifetime for the throne. Royal expert Ian Pelham-Turner noted that now that he is finally king, he seems reluctant to slow down unless necessary. His late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, remained active well into her 90s, even when her health was fading. In the same way, Charles is following her example. In recent years, Prince William's and King Charles's royal positions have experienced significant transformations. The passing of Queen Elizabeth saw the beginning of new duties and expectations for the father and son. When King Charles took the throne, Prince William took his new position as the Prince of Wales, which also meant taking responsibility for the Duchy of Cornwall, an estate his father oversaw for over 50 years. The change from Prince William to the new title of Prince of Wales has been a shift that happened at full speed. During an ITV documentary, Prince Charles, Inside the Duchy of Cornwall, viewers saw a particularly emotional moment highlighting how much this shift means to both father and son. In the documentary, William discussed how he would inherit the Duchy of Cornwall one day. His words, though casual, were powerful, and they struck a chord with his father. William said, "I've started to think about how I will inherit the duchy one day and what I do with it. I think it's really important. The family angle, I do." His father, visibly moved, shared how deeply those words had resonated with him. Charles revealed, "When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I was deeply touched and moved by what he said. Frankly, it reduced me to tears. It did, really, because I suddenly thought, well, just hearing that from him has made the last 50 years worthwhile." For Charles, those words from his eldest son were not just about the duchy. They represented a passing of the torch and a recognition that the next generation was ready to take on the immense responsibilities that come with their royal duties. As the Duke of Cornwall, William is beginning to take responsibility for the estate, just as his father did before him. However, as much as William is stepping into his father's shoes, the circumstances have changed. With King Charles's health concerns all over the place, the sense of urgency around William's preparations for the future has become even more pronounced. This shift isn't surprising given the fluctuating public opinion surrounding King Charles's reign. From 46% of Britons wanting him to abdicate in 2018 to a current approval rating of 62%, the monarch's popularity has seen significant ups and downs. Nevertheless, Prince William's growing responsibilities and King Charles's health challenges underscore the importance of a smooth transition. This brings us to the fundamental question. What does this mean for the monarchy's future? William's deep involvement with the Duchy of Cornwall indicates that he may be preparing to take on even more in the coming years. His words and actions suggest a smooth yet inevitable transition from one generation to the next. In the face of his father's health struggles, does it seem more likely than ever that Prince William's time on the throne may come sooner than anyone anticipated?